Blog Talk Radio.
Please take all the necessary precautions to protect your constitution while listening to this broadcast. 3, 2, 1. Coming to you live via the internet. It's time for Rage Against the Regime. Let's get ready to rumble! Finally, a show for patriots, defending the Constitution and uncovering the truth at every turn, bringing you exclusive interviews and covering the topics the mainstream media doesn't dare to touch. Call in and join the discussion at 929-477-3565. That's 929-477-3565. And now, here are your hosts, Bobby Who's the Man and Becky Williams. Rage Against the Regime.
I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Welcome to Rage Against the Regime podcast, and I am your host, Bobby Who's the Man. I don't know how I ended up here tonight, and didn't really plan on being here, but I did open up the board for you all to carry on like you would like to, and here we are with Becky Williams. There you go, Becky.
Hey, brother, I guess we had a mix-up. I thought you were running board this week. I do apologize.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
All right. I'm actually en route back to the house. I'm on my cell phone. I thank you for pulling the board up for me. Listen, Bobby, we have a lot of important issues to cover tonight. We've got a lot of people that are listening in that should be calling in to discuss the issues. Oh, good.
Yeah, you have a ton of callers.
They want to discuss the issues and what took place in Texas at the rally over the weekend, what happened in Garland, what happened in Houston yesterday, which was very disappointing. We had less than 100 people show up in Houston to protest against the Islamic invasion in the state of Texas, and their attempts to raise money to build super mosques and to incorporate Sharia law in those mosques. We're not real happy with what's going on in Texas. And we also have a group of Muslim Brotherhood terrorists, Egyptians, that will be marching on Houston this weekend in protest of the military coup that took place to remove Morsi, who the pig and thief himself, Obama, helped put into place as government in Egypt. So we've got a whole lot of things that are very disturbing going on. We all know that in order to take the rest of the country, you have to take Texas. We're the fourth largest growing economy in the entire world. We're a state. We have every capability to run as a nation, and we are working vigilantly on trying to secede the state of Texas. I did not obviously win the victory, and the government shut me down for my run as governor in the state of Texas, and my every intention was to secede the state. We are still working on that. We are in deep shit in Texas. And I've got a lot of callers that should be on the board. If they're not there now, they will be on, from movements to secede Texas and that participated in that rally this weekend here in Garland.
You know what I think? I think Mike
go ahead,
is
brother.
on. I think Mike is on.
Can you put her on the line?
Sure.
Go ahead and put her on.
Hey, Micah, you there? 870 area code. Who do we got?
I'm here. It's here. I'm here.
That's Keith. I need Micah.
Okay. All right. Hang on one second. All right. What area code is she calling from?
Micah should be, hold on, I'll look it up. Hang on just a second. But she should be on the line. Let me look up the area code for Micah.
Because I got another caller from a 254 area code. I've got one from 813.
That's not Micah.
714.
Damn it. I'm looking for her. Hang on a second. Micah's going to be area code 972. Is she on?
No.
All right, bring the 254 number on. That may be Wilbur. I'm not sure. Ask who it is.
254, who do we got?
You got Wilbur.
There you go.
Hey, Wilbur.
Hey, Wilbur.
Hey, Becky, I'm going to set this down. You go ahead and take it. I'm going to set this down and mute myself.
All right, brother, go ahead. Hey, Wilbur, how are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing real good. As a matter of fact, weather's real nice, and Mayor down in Houston's still a lesbian. Everything's going good.
Fantastic. Listen, I know that I missed you at the rally in Garland. I appreciate all the support and all the work that you guys are doing to secede this state. We've got a dire situation here. Let me tell you what happened this morning for me. I received some information from Mike Ocampo last night concerning the Egyptian protest that will be in Houston on the 24th. They are protesting the military coup over Egypt. Now, just to catch people up on what happened in Egypt a couple of years ago, the cockroach Obama, the sleeper cell Muslim pig that's in our White House, funded not only military aircraft and tanks for the Muslim Brotherhood, but he helped to put Morsi in office. So Morsi overthrew the government that was in place, and he is a tyrant. He's worse than Hussein ever thought he could be, in my opinion. That's my opinion based on what he stands for. Anyway, so the military came in and they removed him, and you know, thousands of Christians were slaughtered during that takeover by the military to remove the Brotherhood. Now, what we have here is a bunch of terrorists who are Egyptians that are in my state, in Texas, in our state, that are going to be protesting and demanding that the American government, and who is not actually a government, we have been usurped. They are not our government. It's an illegal corporation, just for the listeners out there. They're appealing to our government to intervene, the illegal corporation that's here, to intervene and to get the military out of Egypt and put the Muslim Brotherhood back in power. What this says to me is that those people who are protesting are terrorists. They are part of the Muslim Brotherhood. They want to kill the infidel. They're here to take everything away from us, and I am not good with this. I am really not good with this. So this morning, after seeing what's going on, they're going to leave Houston, and they're going to march on Washington, D.C. in protest. There's a couple of things really bother me. First of all, we had less than 100 people protesting the two terrorists who held a convention in Garland and then moved to Houston on Sunday. We had only but less than 100 people in Houston protesting their arrival and what they were there for. This is very disturbing. So I called the governor's office this morning, and lo and behold, I received a recording rather than a human being on the line, and this is most disturbing. The recording was from friggin' Thanksgiving. Seriously. We are on break for the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll be back in the office on December the 3rd. Now, I know we have a changing of the guard for government here in Texas, but really, this is our friggin' government, and that's the recording I got when I called the governor's office to address why they are allowing terrorists to protest and hold convention and even be on our soil in Texas. I was livid, so I thought, okay, I'm going to call law enforcement, perhaps the Texas Rangers or the intelligence services. And when I pulled it up, I Googled law enforcement agencies in Texas. The site it took me to gave me a link to all the agencies. And every time I clicked on a link, it took me to website not working, problem with the URL. I could not reach anybody this morning to get my questions addressed. And I'm telling you, folks, we've got some serious problems in Texas. So, Wilbur, my question to you, brother, far have we come, and what are we looking at as far as secession in Texas? What do you think?
I'm very excited about the legal operations going in The Hague. As you know, we lost Dave Mundy last week.
Yes.
But the legal the legal operations in The Hague, to me, seem to be a viable approach. Everybody's been worried, if we really succeed, that the Obama administration is going to roll in here with tanks and all that. And as you know, my premise has always been, I call it de facto Republic of Texas, where Texas' natural instincts is to pull away from the United States. A lot of our laws in the state of Texas are designed to keep the citizens safe from the United States. And that as the corporations from America move to Austin and Dallas, that it will become more and more impossible for them to control us. And as their government or their arrangements begin to collapse and their economies begin to collapse in the United States, more and more states will join us, go in league with us, and eventually Obama or whoever is going to have more to worry about than what we're doing, and it'll make it easier to pull away. I think that they say secession, and that has a knee-jerk reaction. When you say the word secession, everybody thinks 1861, Dixie flags, all this kind of stuff, and it's not like that at all. Texas is growing into pulling away from the United States. We're not so much asking them if we can leave as we're telling them we're already gone. We're like a girlfriend that has already left the apartment, but the guy keeps going and trying to hang around. That's what it really boils down to. And our separation from the American government will eventually solidify, and we're not going to be an adversary. Everybody's, you're going to succeed in this. No. We want to be an ally. We want to have a Republic of Texas where hopefully the Americans look down here and they say, wow, they got it going on. It's working. What are they doing right? And they ask us. They ask us. And we tell them, well, we don't deal with the Arabs and their oil. We don't pussyfoot around the Mexicans. We invite companies to come to the Republic of Texas with lower taxes. You can work your companies, make your money. You don't owe us any income tax. Stuff like that. And hopefully they will get the message and get back. But we got to fight all these big money schemes. We've got to fight all these lawyers. We've got to fight all that before we can get back down to simplicity, which is all it really boils down to. I think the Republic of Texas already exists, but we've just got to convince the Americans of that.
Brother, I'm super, super concerned with what we're dealing with right now. The fact that our Texas government, first of all, is allowing the occupation of this state and the invasion that has been allowed across that border, endangering our lives, is very concerning to me. And I feel like we are running out of time. Based on my research, based on the current events, based on the events that are taking place with the Muslim occupation around the globe, I feel like the caliphate has already been established here. And knowing what you and I know, and many others, about the significance of Texas, the fact that Houston is a major port for import-export around the world, Texas City, the power grid, the oil import-export, the fact that there are 68 mosques in the Houston area within a 50-mile radius, and 3 or 4 of those are super mosques, is super concerning to me. It says a lot. It says a lot about why they're taking Texas like that and why they're targeting Houston and Dallas.
What number did you say she's calling from? Yeah, what number did you say she's calling from?
Michael will be calling from a 972 area.
No. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back until you get a chance to run the board. Because, I'll come back periodically, but I'm doing stuff around the house here, so I'll mute myself again. Because you have other callers on here, but I'm just going to mute myself for a second, and I don't know, hopefully when you get to the house you'll be able to bring the board up, because I know I'm able to do things on the board, even though you're usually, the person running the board.
Yeah,
it should
yeah.
be the same situation.
I'll have the board up in just probably about 5 minutes, and then I'll take you loose, brother. I do apologize for the
No.
for the
It's okay. Okay.
So Wilbur, I'm real concerned about how far we are along in the attempt to secede. I know that we have a meeting with some of the groups, all of them but T&M. I've been told we'll be meeting very soon to discuss exactly what I'm asking you.
Well, Becky, what's going on? The people need to understand. You say the Texas government and how you're concerned with them. The current Texas government is fiat with the Washington people. They are just an extension of Washington's desires, wishes, plans, and details. The Republic of Texas is totally different. We won't cooperate with them hardly at all when it comes to insanity. When they say, well, we're going to do this border, no, we'll take care of the border. Don't worry about that. We got the border. Don't worry about it. We want to put Arab oil in the border. No, we're going to have no more Arab oil. No, we don't need it. No, don't need it. Well, we want to enforce this religious freedom thing and have all these mosques. No. We have religious freedom in the Republic of Texas. We do not have active political parties disguising as religion. We don't have that. We don't have that. That's what we got. And something else I'd like to give kudos to someone on your show if it's possible. I think one of your either accomplices or one of your competitors. I don't know. You know Michael B. of Higher Truth?
I do not.
Well, Michael B. had a radio show. He discontinued it recently, and we communicate all the time. He's up there in Dallas with you guys. But every now and then I go politically correct. It happens. I've been to California, and I apologize. But I have a friend up in New York, a girl that I've known since she was 12 years old, and she's a Muslim, and she actually wanted to marry me. When she turned 18, she wanted to marry me, but I had to turn into a Muslim, and I wouldn't do it. But she married a doctor, and she has a family, and she's actually a good kid. And I asked her in a letter, I said, listen, this terrorism in France, all that, give me your thoughts. I'm going to ask you your political thoughts. Give me your thoughts. And she wrote me a nice, long letter, which was very incisive. Naturally, she sided with the Palestinians, here and there. But she was kind of down on the terrorists, and I thought, well, that's cool. And she was very articulate. So I put it up as one of my articles on Doc's show. Michael came along and, excuse the French, he packed it in my ass pretty good. And he was right. I hate to say it when I'm wrong, but he was right. Now, how many religions do you know where the adherents of the religion, even the Westboro Baptist Church, go out and actively kill people? How many religions do that?
One.
You can get the most radical, hair down to their butt Pentecostals who would never put on makeup on their women and never drink anything stronger than an iced tea, and they won't kill a fly. Yeah. But then you get these Muslims, and they go out there, and I seen something, Becky, yesterday, and I'm pretty callous old prick. I really am. I'll sit out and eat a sandwich and watch Iranian hangings, and everybody's gagging. But I seen a woman get executed yesterday. And I don't know what her crime was, but I can understand a little bit of Arabic. And she was in the street screaming over and over again, I don't want to die. She didn't have the strength to sit up. They had to lay her down, take the sword, and cut her head off. And she was in mid-scream when they hit her neck, and it cut the vocal cords, but not the air passage. And all you heard was this animal shriek. She died. And everybody just standing around, moderate Muslims. Now, the moderate Muslims, they will allow that. The peaceful Muslims, The more radical ones, they get worse than it. How many religions do that? And that's the main thing. What Mikey was telling me. How many religions do that, Wilbur? One. I'll turn the mic over to you. Go ahead.
Well, you're correct. They're not actually a religion. They've been quite clever in their logistics of war on humanity, and realizing that by calling themselves a religion, they would be able to establish a foothold politically and demand rights and be able to manipulate and use laws to benefit them for the establishment of their agenda. Now, anybody, and there's much more study that I need to definitely commit myself to concerning the Hadith and the Quran, but I certainly have studied enough, as have many individuals across the world, to understand that it is a militant political theology. It's not a religion. The religion is the lie. Now, there are 4 different terminologies or ways that they lie, and it gives them a foothold to lie to the infidel and lie to the folks in order to complete agenda, which is to actually dominate and annihilate the entire world. You know, even their own. They'll kill their own. They don't care. They're heartless, demonic souls. Do not know what love is. They do not care. They do not know what compassion is, and they raise their children up to hate from the time of birth. Go ahead, brother.
The one thing that I've noticed, everybody hears the words separation of church and state as if it was something that was invented in America. Well, it wasn't. Even in the time of King David, King Saul, you had King David and King Saul who were warriors, okay? They were warriors. David aspired to government office. King Saul did the same thing. Solomon did the same thing. And these men, David wrote beautiful Psalms, Solomon wrote beautiful Proverbs and everything, but they weren't theologians. They were the government side. The prophets, like Samuel, the prophets, Isaiah, they were the ones that controlled the spiritual side. George Washington was a very religious man, but he was a general. He was a military leader. Preachers were the ones that handled the spiritual side. Muslims, they're the only religion where the warriors are the preachers. They're one and the same. There is no separation. There's no holdback. I guess that's the way to call it. There's no holdback. There's no, if King David did something that was stupid spiritually, well, he had Samuel or somebody to sit there and tell him, well, you shouldn't do it this way. You shouldn't do it that way. This is what God wants you to do. You know, David already proved several times. He stepped out of line several times with Bathsheba and things like that. And he had prophets and rabbis and people like that to advise him. He was not a spiritual leader. The Muslims, their imams are warriors. Muhammad was a warrior. I know when I write my articles, everybody thinks, well, you're soft on Islam. No, I'm not. I know what made Muhammad do what he did. As a man, I know what made him do what he did. I don't believe he saw an angel. I think that was stupid. But he went back to Mecca. They had the Kaaba set up, and he was going to go in there and throw all the idols out and cost all these people a lot of money, so the people that run the town run him off. At that moment, all his peaceful writings in the Quran ended, and the bad stuff started. When he got to Medina, he was pissed off. At that moment, the head started going off. He ceased being a prophet, and he started being a warrior. But the warrior and the prophet were one and the same. And that's what people have got to understand. See, Americans think, well, they see some Muslim imam standing on the steps of the Capitol, and your instinct, if you don't know him, well, he is a preacher. I mean, he is a man of God. No, he's not. He's a warrior. He's a warrior. And once you realize that, then you'll understand where he's coming from. He has no restraint. He has no understanding of love and mercy. All he knows is they want to take over the world, and they want to cut as many heads off as they can in the process. That's who they are. As soon as people get that in their head, then we can begin the next step. I've come around about 180 degrees. We need to run all the Muslims out of Texas. I mean, I hate to say that, but we need to tell them, look, if you adhere to this kind of nonsense, then we're going to tax the hell out of you, or we're going to run you off. It's as simple as that. We're not going to put up with it. We don't need it. You're not from Texas. There's nothing native about you, and you need to just go. You need to go. And we're dang sure not going to take Shahira law and supplant the Constitution. That's not going to happen. But everybody, the 100 people showing up, well, we've got to stand up. We've just got to stand up and just say, no. I've got a little banner I put up all over Facebook. Yes, she shows the Muslim crescent moon with a star, and right across the front of it says, not in Texas. And we need to adhere to that. Okay, your turn, Becky.
You make some very valid points, brother, and you explain that very well. You are correct. They are warriors. They are killing machines, and they are the devil's minions. In my opinion, based on history, not just research, but history itself, the Prophet Muhammad was nothing more than a narcissistic sociopath, and he was a very disturbed and demented individual. And the inbreeding, the centuries of brainwashing, the mind is a terrible thing when wasted, has brought us to this point in time that we are now living in. And it's also biblical, brother. Wilbur, anybody that has read Revelations understand that we are in a holy war. We're actually in a number of wars. The battles that have been waged against us are many. It very clearly states in Revelations there'll be wars and rumors of wars, and the sons and daughters will turn against their mothers and fathers. I mean, all these things we're seeing that are coming to fruition are fact. And for those atheists out there and these pagans who worship Mother Earth and all these folks who have denied God throughout the years, if they're still living and breathing, I would invite you to read Revelations and now deny God. Deny his existence, or that the Bible is false and it was exactly what you say it is, which is a doctrine that was written by man, mere men. Deny it now, because Revelation states very clearly what would come, and we are in it. And when I engage a person in a conversation where they try to refute my validation of the Lord himself and the Bible, I say this thing to them. When you were in school, you had to study history, you had to study math, you had to study biology, all of which was written by man. Now, why is it so easy for you to believe and receive that information as fact, but you have such a hard time with Bible? Here is why. Because your ability to move to the next level of achievement was based on your ability to not only receive the information but digest it and to be able to put it down on paper and pass grade, to vomit that information up, if you will. You have to paint a real simple picture for simple people. And that was how you perceived it, how you received it, how you digested it, how you were able to retain this knowledge and to give it back to your teacher or mentor. Your next level of achievement to pass to the next grade, it depended on your ability to accept it as fact. The Bible is the same thing. So how is it that you can tell me that only, I don't believe in the Bible and it was written by a bunch of men, when you so easily received your education written by men? And I never have anyone who can actually look at me and give me an explanation. They're dumbfounded. There's no way to refute that. How do you debate me when I paint it so simply for you? You can't. So I've just taken all their logic and everything they base their principle as to why the Bible is not what it is and there is no God. I've just basically, for lack of a better terminology, bitch slapped the hell out of them with it. We are in end times, and we know this, but we also know that we're soldiers for the Lord, and we know that we are a peaceful, loving, and forgiving crew of people as Christians, but nowhere in the Bible did it tell me to lay down my weapon and to fall to the minion or to Satan. It doesn't tell me to do that. We clearly must stand and fight. He said, sell your cloak and pick up your sword. We have souls that will be lost, Wilbur, and that should be the most concerning to our hearts at this point. Not just our very existence, but our eternal existence is definitely being challenged here, and that hurts my heart. You know, don't let my language fool you. I am a Christian. I'm a work in progress. God knew I'd say it before I said it, and if he can forgive me, I'm hoping that, you know, the folks out there that are listening can forgive me too. But, you know, if you don't, you're not my judge, so I'm not really worried about it. At the end of the day, we are in trouble in Texas. We are infiltrated. And when I ran my campaign as governor of Texas, part of that campaign, and I caught a lot of shit for it, Wilbur, was to relieve the new country of all Muslims and to relieve the country of the invaders that have come across the border. I caught a lot of flack for that. I had a lot of resistance. But now the folks are seeing the things that are coming to fruition in the state of Texas because of those individuals that we just mentioned. They're now seeing why I stated what I stated. And it wasn't a selfish thing or a self-judgmental thing. That was not the reason that I made that statement, is because our children, our grandchildren, and us, we, our families, all of us, we are in danger. We have been put in that danger by the current regime, and, you know, I'm tired of hearing people say, we are the largest standing army, blah, 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 we're the only nation, blah, 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 has weapons, blah, 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 Second Amendment right, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. If you're not going to use it, stop claiming a right that you will not use. Don't tell me it's your right to remove tyranny if you're not going to do it. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly. It's, you know, you brought up the book of Revelations. I've studied that book several times. I've got several different approaches. But the one thing, and I hit Michael B. with this, and he never answers. I must have hit the nail. He brought up Revelations, and I told him, I said, well, you got to understand that numbers in the Old Testament and the New have meaning. They were little codes that let people know what they meant. Like the number 7 was perfection. The number 10 means completion. 3 is very special, like Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, things like that. But I said, but when people go in and they find that little chapter about the numbers in Revelations, if you know that 7 is the perfection, that's God. A little less than perfection is man. We're less than perfect, so we're 6. So when you take the number 666, what you're really getting is man, man, man. Everything is of man. Man invented it. Man wrote it. Man is doing this. It has nothing to do with 7. It has everything to do with 6. It's a man thing. That's Islam. That's Islam. It's an invention of man. Muhammad made it up. He made it up. I did an entire article on this, and like I said, I'm getting sucked into this thing this week, and I instinctively don't try to poke fun at anybody's religion or argue theology, but I had to, you know, come out and say, well, this is the way it really is, okay? And as a writer with several novels and several books, all these songs and everything, I tell people, and I tell Mormons this too, and I like a lot of Mormons. They help me in a lot of things, but I tell them, look, they always say, well, how can a man with no education, such as Muhammad or Joseph Smith, write such a holy work? Any author can tell you that. You can sit down and you can contrive anything.
Yes.
I wrote, my first novel was called Sharon, and it was basically Baptist preacher meets the Virgin Mary. And I processed it through the Catholic Church. It ended up down at the bishop's office. It ended up in Rome. And several things I said in that book, they dug back into the Vatican II archives and said, oh, my God, he's running money. So as I started meeting with the Legion of Mary, then these things started coming up. Well, you're inspired. You come up with this because you have some kind of vision. No. I'm a writer. But I'm going to tell you boys up front, I threw open the French doors in my big old house. I sat down on my computer, and I made it up right off the top of my pretty little head. And that's what Muhammad did, and that's what Joseph Smith did. And anyone that comes up with their own Bible, that's what they did. They made it up. People are capable of doing that. And so Muhammad just made this stuff up. And he was smarter than Joseph was, because he come up with little deals. Now, if I tell you this is right in Surah number 29, and then in Surah 129 I say something different, that's because God changed his mind, and now Surah 129 supplants Surah 29. You know, he didn't even have the decency of saying, well, I made a mistake. You ever heard of satanic verses?
No.
All right. There were some verses in there in the Quran where Muhammad said one of his wives took off with a young man, or got lost. The caravan moved on down the road, and Fatima, or whatever her name was, got left behind. And some young man found her and brought her back to the caravan, and all the guys around Muhammad said, well, she's in sin now. She's been with another man alone, blah, blah, blah. And so he had a vision of three women who were divine. They were goddesses, and they were this, and his wife was connected with this. He was a big, long hoopla to save his wife's neck, right? Well, he saved her neck, but then they said, well, Muhammad, wait a minute, man. Dude, you said there's only one God. Well, what about these three women? You just designated them as being divine. Well, then he said, Satan got into me. I didn't mean it. The devil made me do it, and that don't mean nothing. Those are satanic verses. Strike them. And he wiggled out of that one. So it's just one little. Muhammad was a successful camel driver. His trick was, his whole life, he could load up a caravan with oils and spices and perfume, go across the desert, and come back with the money for his investors. That was his trick. He saw a lot of things. He experienced a lot of things. He ended up in that cave. He was retired, and he came up with this Quranic idea that he babbled and babbled and babbled, and I don't think he thought it was going as far as it went. I really don't. I think as it caught momentum, then he got caught up in it. He just got caught up in it, and then after he died, it just kept going and kept going. I believe there is something satanic about it, because the idea just took hold and took hold and took hold and took hold and wouldn't die. And you got to have something behind that besides just a bunch of guys that want to hold on to an idea. You know, God was behind the apostles. You know, we had 11 guys. One guy hung himself, and Christianity went all over the world without any help of publication. You know,
right?
Muhammad had, he had the same thing. He just had a bunch of guys that got together, but now it's gotten completely out of control. It is, I sometimes I dodge the word satanic. People immediately, they jump on this, well, it's got to be the devil, and I kind of fall back on, no, man, he was just a clever camel jockey and got out of control. But it is out of control, and they don't need to be in Texas. People believe that, well, there's some way that we meet them on the middle ground. We can find a common purpose here. Remember the girl I told you about, the one in New York?
Yes.
She wanted to marry me bad. I mean, jump on the plane. I will come down there and do anything you ask. But you got to be a Muslim. You got to be a Muslim. And I thought, I can't do that. I'm not going to do anything like that. And she gave up all of her dreams, all of her ideas of coming to Texas, everything for the Islamic faith. Now, what kind of teenage girl does that? She's 18 years old. What kind of teenage girl will do that?
Right.
If I can't get punked, I can't get my 8-year-old granddaughter to obey me that much.
Yeah, it is. It does have. Well, I mean, everybody knows the difference between good and evil, and life is a choice. And we were afforded one particular ability that no other creature on earth was given by our Creator, and that was the ability to reason. And reasoning has gotten us in a whole lot of trouble. Man has put themselves in jeopardy by denying truth and reasoning their way around what is fact. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Well, maybe we can deal with these people, or maybe we can sway their minds. It is my opinion, and I'm sure you'll agree with me based on your knowledge and your study of Islam, that there is no reasoning with a monster like Islam, if for no other reason, and there's that word again, is because they lie. Their doctrine gives them the most well-groomed education in deceit. And to deceive and to lie in order to protect the religion of Islam or themselves and their families, to go against what the Quran tells them about socializing with the infidel, they will do it to the death in order to establish a foothold. In other words, they are lying in wait like a mountain lion on the top of a rock for the jogger to come by so that they can pounce on them. That is my opinion. You cannot sit and believe, if you know what the Quran says, you know who they are, and you have watched history. Hell, you don't have to know what the Quran says. Look at the history. Look at what's going on globally. Don't tell me there are moderate Muslims. Am I saying that all Christians are good? Absolutely not. The Lord tells you, be careful. There will be wolves in sheep's clothing. There'll be gentlemen and women at the pulpit that will mislead you with intention of misleading you. They will lead you into the gates of hell with purpose. Man is corrupt by nature. We're all born into sin, but we make choices in life. You and I choose to tell the truth. Even if it hurts, I tell the truth. And believe me, I catch a lot of trouble for it. My delivery lacks eloquence much of the time, but I'm just going to hit you with a little bit of truth, and I'm going to do it just as in your face or just as crude as I possibly have to do it in order to get you off enough to hear what I'm saying. I'm telling you now, people, we're in trouble. And if we don't secede the state of Texas and take our territory back and rid this nation, the new nation, the Republic of Texas, of this vile, demonic entity that is consuming us like a black shadow. You know, it reminds me of this, brother. You remember when the plague went through the village and then the instruction was to put the blood of the lamb in a cross over your threshold so that it would bypass your home? You remember that, the death?
Yes. Yes.
It's much like that. We have a creeping shadow of death that is consuming this nation. It's in our government. It's in our schools. It's in our universities. It is in our literature. It is in our municipalities. It is everywhere, and it has taken over our industry and taken away our property and our ability to prosper. Our very future is dead and gone. And I am, quite frankly, brother, I'm at wit's end. I see this train wreck coming. It's like being in a nightmare. You know the nightmare where you're running like hell and you can't get away? You know,
right.
You know the monster's behind you, and you're running as fast as you can, and you are going nowhere quick. That's where we are. We are going nowhere very quickly. And the monster is on my backside, and he's waiting to devour me, and I can no longer just sit here and listen to these keyboard warriors and these folks that give me every excuse why they can't stand up and take action. They can't even get out of their house into a car in their own area or region, their neighborhood, to assure that we have people who stand up and make broad statements to our government saying this is not good. We're not good with what's going on. You know, we had thousands in Garland. We had 50, 60 people that showed up in Houston. Houston is a huge metropolis with many suburbs. surrounding it within a 50-mile radius, 60-mile radius. We had people show up in Garland, Wilbur, from Oklahoma, from California, from Louisiana, from New Orleans, from Arkansas. We had a couple that I talked to that were all the way here from Colorado, standing with us in Garland, Texas, to protest two known terrorist organizations, and another one who actually sponsored the convention is a terrorist organization with ties to known terrorists around the world and groups around the world. They've been funding terrorism, and they were allowed to rent a space from a school district in the state of Texas and then disallow our people who had purchased tickets. One gentleman, I believe, came from Florida. He was with a WordPress or something, and they turned him away at the front door. Came here from Florida. He had expenses. He bought a ticket, and they said no. We actually have a copy of the lease where it states that was illegal. Part of the basis of renting that facility was you could not discriminate by color, by race, by religion, yada, yada, yada. Yet they did. They turned away several people who had purchased tickets because they were not Muslim or because they were press. Now, you have to ask yourself this, Wilbur. Why would you turn press away? What the hell are you talking about in there that you don't want the public to know?
That's exactly right. And, something else you brought that hit me. I told you about the woman getting executed.
Yeah.
When you look at the modern wisdom of Jesus, it's incredible. The story of the woman who was going to be stoned for adultery is a prime example. When Jesus came upon the scene, as a rabbi, the first thing he did was acknowledge the legal right, that the guys picking up the rocks were legally right. She was committing adultery, and under the Torah, they're supposed to pick up the rocks, they're supposed to stone her to death. That's what the law says, the letter of the law. So that's what the Muslims say. The letter of the Quran, the letter of the law, we do this. But Jesus went one step further. He appealed to their reason. Okay, I agree, you're legally right, the letter of the law, but the one of you that hasn't done what she's done, you go ahead and throw the first rock, okay? And they sat there with their faces hanging out. Now, he did turn around, if you remember, go and sin no more. What he basically was telling her, look, honey, you better behave. I don't think I can get you out of this the second time, okay?
Yeah.
But he knew the letter of the Torah. He knew the letter of the law, but he exercised a very, very strong point in humanity, which is what the Muslims do not have. They do not have. If the Quran says you need to chop somebody's hand off, they chop it off. Chop the head off, they chop it off. It's all about let's go exactly by the Quran. Let's go exactly the way that Muhammad said it's supposed to go. There's no reasoning. There's no. If we, and I said this today in an article. If we behaved the way the Muslims do, then the Christians, if they saw a naked Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, they're supposed to pull their eye out of their head and throw it away. Thank God the Quran didn't have that.
There'd be a lot of blind people, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it dang sure would.
Yeah, either by intention or accident, it would definitely be a blind world because we see a whole lot of that going on today in America. We see a lot of skin and breast and garment exposure, and I'm being very nice and polite. I'm going to be good tonight.
I'm going to be good too.
Yeah.
I got one. Off the cuff, but I spent a lot of time out in California, especially in Oxy Wells out in the desert. They had this old fart out there, and my son's daughter was a 16-year-old professional cheerleader. They were with a thing called the Green Emeralds, a squad of cheerleaders that went around here. Now, these are all California girls, okay? They're all California girls. Some of them have got contracts coming up with Disney, all this. So I don't have to tell you they look good. And they're all athletes, too. They're in good shape.
Wow.
And they're out there in the desert doing their little, they call them spanks. These shorts they call Spanx, because when you see them, you want to spank them. But they call Spanx. And they're out there jumping around doing their deal, and I was staring at them, sitting under the awning of the little travel trailer I was staying in. And this old guy's, he was watching me, and naturally he goes, "You like to look at the little girls, huh?" I said, "No, they're pretty girls." I said, "You're staring a little too hard." I mean, he's California, And I looked and said, "Can you look at those girls jump around and not think about women?" "Absolutely not." I said, "Then you, sir, are a homosexual." Because if you can look at a 5'4" girl, 125 pounds soaking wet, walking on her hands with shorts on, and you don't have an impure thought, dude, you need Viagra. You really do. There's something wrong with you. I don't know what it is, but you need to correct that. Would I go over there? Would I go over there and strike a date with a 16-year-old girl? No, that's stupid. But if somebody says, "Well, you think that girl's pretty?" Well, hell yes, she's pretty. Her whole put together is to be pretty. That's why she's in shape like she is. That's why she Now the Muslims, oh my God! If my granddaughter Kylie was to wear her Spanx and her little top and all that kind, worthy of death, bury her up to her neck and stone her head. That is bullshit.
Yes, it is.
I often tell Muslims,
go ahead.
You stone. I tell Muslims all the time, you stone women to death for going out and getting frisky. You stone homosexuals to death for being homosexuals. Dude, make a choice. Come on, make a decision here.
Well, and that's really funny because Thursday is their day for men. Even in the
man love Thursday. You're absolutely right.
You're correct, and they take the little boys into the Mecca, into these chambers, and they rape them.
Right.
They rape them.
Right.
I mean, I've seen video after video with one of those Muslims with his penis lodged in a mule or a goat. It's bestiality. It's sick. It's sick. It's sick. It's sick. They rape women and then kill them for being raped. What the hell is that? What is that?
In Bahrain and Dubai. My son's in Bahrain right now with the Navy. But he told me, he said, "This is the craziest place in the world." They believe that in Bahrain, it's like a big old party town, and they believe that Allah cannot see you when you're in Bahrain, so you do what you want to do. And Wilbur tells them, dude, we got a place like that. It's called Las Vegas. What happened in Vegas?
Yeah, we do. Well, I'll tell you, Wilbur, I'm really concerned. I want to get more involved. I kind of broke away from working with the secession groups because I felt like I was on another path to get this radio show going and to be connected with all the groups across the nation. I'm not saying I'm going to abandon them, but what I am going to say is I'm going to start focusing diligently on putting as much effort into my shows because I'm on several. But this is a show that I do with Bobby Ritter, my partner, and
I'm here.
host. I'm going to start working diligently at least once a week. I'm going to put all of the groups that are working to secede Texas together on a show so that we can get the information out to those that we're not reaching in Texas to bring them in and get this, speed this up a notch, kick it in the butt with a little steroid, if you will. And
yeah,
I'm
that's good.
Hey, Becky?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Did you actually get a hold of the board?
I did. I am on the board, brother. I've got the board, and I'm about to take a few more callers. I've pulled it up.
All right. I'm just trying to figure out how I can back out of it, but I'll figure that out. And okay, have a good show.
Now, brother, when you back out, if I'm not called into the line as the host, is it going to kill the show?
I'm not going to press end to episode.
Okay. All right. Do I need to call in on that number, or do I need to stay where I'm at?
Well, here, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to press end call on my side. Okay? You should be good. All right? Somebody in the chat room, actually, if Micah is still here, she actually was in the chat room and she logged out. If Micah could type in there or somebody could be in the chat and let me know if everything is still okay when I actually call, when I hang up. If not, I will call right back in, and I'll get the board back up again, and I'll just mute myself, and when you end the show, I'll just disappear like everybody else. Maybe I should just do that.
Brother. All right.
I'm just going to mute myself, and,
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Have a good show.
All right. God bless you. All right. Hey, Wilbur, that little snake oil salesman, Muhammad, he was quite clever, and he mirrored the Bible in so many ways. You were talking about Mary Magdalene, and you without sin, throw the first stone, cast the first stone. They stone people to death. There's many things that he did to mock and mimic the Bible, so that the Bible would be questioned and he would be exalted. You see, the questioning of Jesus is the one and only. Muhammad's still in the grave. Christ rose. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. And people go, well, how do you know Christ rose? Well, let me tell you something, people. The Lord healed me from a terminal illness 18 years ago in the middle of a prayer after 18 months. Oddly enough, I'm at 18 and 18. 18 months of long suffering. And when I was healed, I was praying to die. I was no longer praying to be made well, made whole, because I just couldn't go forward anymore. I couldn't deal with what I was going through. I had a terminal brain tumor. I was ashen. I was pasty. I never slept more than 2 hours a night. I could feel my body leaving itself, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So do I know God's real? Absolutely. Do I still get angry and have questions? Yes, I'm human. But do I know for a fact he exists? You can take it to the bank.
Would you like to hear a miracle story while he's taking the board down?
Sure, absolutely.
I'll give you a very personal miracle story. I wrote about this, but I never spoke about it. When I was 3.5 years old, I had polio and encephalitis.
Wow.
And I remember it at the same time in Louisiana. We had mosquitoes, and everybody had it. Very serious. They took me to Shepherd Sanitarium. My dad and mom did. And I was laid up. And they were just counting the hours. I couldn't stay awake very long, and I had polio, all that kind of stuff. And my mom went to pray. It was a Catholic hospital. She wasn't Catholic, but she was a Catholic hospital. But the nuns told her, well, you come with us and we'll pray for your son. And she went. When she was gone, a nurse came in the room, and she was dressed in a nun's habit all the way down to the floor, and everything. And she had a basin of water. And she washed my face. And she told me, she said, my name is Margot. And tomorrow you're going to be well. You're going to get better. And even though I was 3.5 years old, I'm thinking, okay, right. I've been hearing this stuff, but you're going to get better. So she left, and she said, and if you ever need me, just call my name, talk to me. I'll always be there for you. She left. My mother came back, and I was, still kind of, sleepyhead and everything. But I told her, nurse came in, washed my face, and all that. And Mom was all, yeah, and all that, taking care of me. The next day, I was pushing my 14-year-old cousin in a wheelchair, and I left the hospital.
Wow.
I left. And that's a fact. That can be documented. You can go back to Shumpert. If I go back there and sign off the records, you can find the records of the diagnosis and the release date and everything. It's all very real. After that, I remembered Margot throughout my years. And later, when I began to study religion, I got into the Catholics and everything. Some ladies came, and they were bringing around artifacts and things from Sister Faustina Kowalska out of Poland. She's the big-time saint that wrote Divine Mercies, and I read it. It makes a whole lot more sense than the Quran, I'll put it like that. But they were talking, and I don't remember how the conversation came about, but I brought up that little part of that story I just told you, and I said, and the lady gave me her name, and one of the old nuns said, what name did she give you? And I said, she said her name was Margot. And they crossed themselves and looked at me and gasped and everything, and I'm looking kind of like, what, And one of the old nuns said, Margot was Sister Margaret Faustina Kowalska's nickname that only her mother and family knew. And I went, whoa. So somehow, some way, Margot washed my face, and polio, both legs, encephalitis, brain fever, was gone by the next day by breakfast. So I do believe in miracles. I do believe in miracles. When God moves, he just moves, and he just does what he's going to do. I recently had talks with people. It seems like everything I've ever done has boiled down to what I'm doing right now. It seems like the ordeals that I've gone through, everything has been preparing me to write what I write. And that's why I write with an unusual style. I just come out and say what, like you, I say what I'm going to say. And I got a stopgap though. I tell you, my book, I'm a simple old boy from Austin. If I mess up a little, like I told Mikey D, I said, look, Mikey, I told you, I'm a simple old boy from Austin. I told you from the get-go I'm stupid, okay? I don't research anything but the spelling of people's names. I write or I speak. I just speak right straight off the top of my head and go from there. And just know this, where'd you find that in the Bible? Because another little thing that I never let leak out. My ex-wife, who saved the children, you know the whole story,
right,
was going to Liberty University to get her college education. Okay, and she got in psychology and theology. Now, my wife was dyslexic and cannot read, so I had to help her take the classes. And indeed, I helped her take the tests too, you know, and everything. So I went through the whole bachelor's and master's program with Jerry Falwell and learned every bit of it, including listening to tapes of the King James Bible at least 50 times, you know. So when I get into discussions, that's why I don't like to discuss theology, is I see these preachers and imams thumbing through their various holy books, and I'm just rattling around off the top of my head because I'm a songwriter. I've memorized 3,000 of my own songs. I can memorize a book. I can memorize a book. And I reason it, I put it in my head, and I reason it out, and I see the logic of Jesus, not just counting the commas and is it written in Greek, but the logic of what he was saying. Why he said what he said. Why did he do what he did? How is he explaining these things? And the more I learn, the more I'm convinced. And as far as him, people, how can you believe that Jesus rose from the dead? Because people have spent 1,000 years trying to prove that this rabbi didn't just get up on a Sunday morning and walk out of his grave like he had good sense.
Yeah.
He did. He did it. You can't prove he didn't. You cannot prove he didn't. There's three people that we found relics of practically every saint, everybody in the Bible, statues, whatever. We found relics of practically every one of them except for three people: Mary, Jesus naturally, and St. John. And if you remember, Jesus told Peter, what if I were to tell you that this man will not experience death before I come back? We have never found even a rumor of a grave of St. John. And we don't know what happened. He just wasn't buried nowhere. You know, because now that's all Catholic. You know, and I'm a greatly fallen away Catholic.
Yeah.
But I believe I came back more or less to my Baptist faith, my Protestant faith, when I started seeing the diocese make excuses for the pedophiles. And I thought, wait, hold on. You can't, you're supposed to be men of God, and you see these guys messing with little boys, and you're making up all kinds of excuses. There's no excuse for it. You didn't get that from God. You didn't get that from God. So I kind of backed away a little bit. But I had one beautiful old priest named Father Everett. Father Everett, and I won't bore you anymore after this, but I'm on the roll here. Father Everett, I knew a Catholic mystic called Susan. And one day we ever meet, I'll tell you Susan stories that'll curl your hair. She was the real deal. I mean, she did things that I know Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller, and I believe what he says. If you are mystified by something, you just don't understand the trick. And most of some of the things she did, I can see the trick, but there's a couple of things I can't. But the main thing she did is she had visions of the Virgin Mary. And when she did, the rose smells would descend and all this stuff, you know. And I was talking to old Father Everett one time. I'd go meet him at the rectory after work every day, and he'd open the door, and I'd say, Father, are you alone? He said, yes, and we have beer. He'd always have beer in the box. So we'd have a beer together. And one night he told me, he says, you're hanging around with this Susan girl. I said, yes, Father. I heard that she's a great revelator. I said, well, yes, sir. I've been with her, and myself, I'm amazed. Well, what does she do? Well, she sees the Virgin Mary. She sees the Virgin Mary. Says, have you ever seen the Blessed Mother or heard her voice? I said, no, Father, I've never seen the Blessed Mother. He said, good, because that's schizophrenia. Now, that's a wise priest right there. This is calm. That's schizophrenia. I'm glad you're not seeing that right now.
There you go. You know, I write as well. I don't write novels, but I do write. Release for me. Some things become a muse for me, and some folks do and others don't. But I wrote something a couple of years ago, and I feel like you are exactly this, just as I feel like I am exactly this, and it's this. I am a creature beautifully and wonderfully made. Although surrounded by millions, I'm completely alone. With my wings folded, hidden from mortal creatures, I battle demons in the darkness. I am the very breath of hope my Father sends into battle. And it's quite simply this. We are to be Christ-like, and if he lives in me, he says this to me. He says that I'm more than a conqueror, I'm a victor, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I believe, like you, that I have been conditioned. All the things that have come through in my life has led up to this moment. And that I do is an appointment, not my own selfish desire. Because nobody in the right mind would step into the shoes that I've stepped into. It is not for self-notoriety. It is because I feel in my heart I have to do what I'm doing and that I am a warrior. And I walk this life without fear, and I battle the demons. But sometimes, brother, it's a lonely path. And you can be in a room of a million other people and still feel secluded and alone. And at that moment that came to me, and I pinned that in a minute, I feel that that's who you are as well. And I want to thank you for everything that you do. Everything that you bring to the table, the wisdom that you impart to the listeners and myself is much appreciated, brother.
Thank you.
You do make a difference. And I want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you, Becky. I'm glad that you put up with me. I really am. That's it.
We've got a brother on the line or a sister.
Okay.
I'm not sure who it is. Area code 214. You're on air. I muted you a couple of minutes ago. Who are we speaking with? Area code 214.
That's me, Becky. Connie.
Hey, we finally got Connie on the line. Connie, did you have a question for Wilbur?
Yes.
Okay.
We know the Christian nation is a mighty nation. Where are they at? Where are our churches at? Why aren't they standing up?
They're not standing up, Connie, because people have become complacent. We've become a nation of, if you just keep your head down, everything's going to be all right. It's not going to work like that. Eventually, there's going to be a calling out, and there will be an answering. But that's the whole thing. People go to church on Sunday, and then they go home and they forget about it. They don't take their values with them. They don't stand up and tell somebody that they're wrong. Like when I discuss with Muslims and everything, I try to be polite. I try to be nice and everything. But when I'm cornered, then I fall back on the faith and I say no. And that surprises a lot of people because of what I write. When I write, I seem like I'm kind of middle of the road and all this kind of stuff. But when I'm cornered, I say, no. Okay, let's get down to the bottom line here. I believe in the Creed of Nicaea. I believe that Jesus is God. I believe he rose from the dead. I believe he can do all these things. I believe this. And they, well, how can you believe that? And no, I believe it. It's not how you can believe it. I believe it, and I will stand up. Most people in the Christian nation won't stand up. You remember Revelations? And Becky, this is where my memory comes in. You were neither warm nor cold. No, you were neither hot nor cold, but you were lukewarm, and I spew you out of my mouth.
Amen. That's what's happening.
That's exactly. In fact, I can say no more. That's out of the words of Revelations, Connie. In direct answer to your question, you were neither hot nor cold, but you were lukewarm, and I will spew you out of my mouth. In other words, I don't care if you're my friend or enemy, but by golly, just be one or the other, okay? Just be one or the other. Because I can't.
My niece goes to church down there at Kemp. She brought a tape and put on, because I've been telling her what's happening. You know, prepare, get your guns and start preparing, put food up. And her preacher gave them a tape, and I swear on my life, told them in this tape, do not watch the news. It's all gloom and doom. And the next breath, he's showing his arsenal. He's got a room full of weapons and bullets. And it just floored me. I went off on her. She didn't speak to me for a while. I swear.
A preacher?
A preacher. Told them not to watch the news because all it would do, it would bring them down. You know, watch the news. Learn what's happening. We need you.
But, you know,
I get upset.
No, the mainstream media, people are saying, well, the mainstream media this, the mainstream. I watch the news. I watch ABC News all the time. I watch Fox, all that kind of stuff. You have to take it all with a grain of salt. But, I mean, well, like if there's a massive plane crash somewhere, you want to know if anybody got hurt. They will filter stuff. Like, for instance, there's been no news story about the 50 mosques in France that have been burned in the last 10 days. Not one story. The French have gone nuts. They're not. And now, Connie, another answer to your question, you know, why are people not standing up? Well, the French are standing up. They got irritated. They're ticked off. They went in there and they shut up a cartoonist and everybody in this office and everything, so they started burning mosques. You know, it's okay. It's over.
Yes, that was it.
It's been ordered. And that's what's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen in America. But in Texas, that's what's going to happen. And that's what I've been writing in my articles all week. And like I said, I appear middle of the road. So I'm not saying this is right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But I'm trying to tell you people we're in Texas, and this is what's going to happen. I got into a discussion with a lady today. I know a lot of good Muslims, and you're saying this and you're saying that. I said, Natalie, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. Texans are not going to take this. Maybe 60 showed up in Houston this time, but the very first bomb that goes off, you're going to see something totally different. Then it's going to get bad. Then the mosque is going to burn. Then the little guy down at the convenience store is going to get hung. All this kind of stuff, and it's going to happen. And because that's the way Texans take care of business, and that's the way it is. Like I said, there's this part of me that wishes we could all get along, but when you got somebody, a group of people over there that are actively working to destroy everything you've ever believed in, excuse me, you have to take a stand. You have to take a stand. You have to stand up and say, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. I can't say that, it's racist, but they're not Americans. They're not Texans. They're not from our culture. They're not the same breed. Their health is bad. They're just not us. And we can't stand up and beat something like that. Well, maybe we need to be Muslim, because we can't stand up and beat people who are fighting on one leg anyway with no theology. Who are we? I don't think Jesus is going to let that happen. I don't think he's going to let that happen. He's got enough people back in him, and a lot of us have sold our cloaks, and we have bought swords. And we're not going to stand down and watch them stone a 17-year-old girl because she wore a pair of tight blue jeans. We're just not going to do that. So, and then if Muslims are listening, I'm sorry to be the first one to tell you, boys, but there just ain't no nice way to kill people, okay? Yeah. Oh, yeah, Connie, I'm sorry I took the show. I'm sorry.
No, I'm listening. I could sit down and cry for hours over what's happening. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about my grandkids, my great-grandkids. I'm 66 years old and scared to death.
They're showing waters, Connie.
Yeah, I'm watching. I'll catch it. It'll be back on in an hour.
Yeah, I'll watch it. But they're showing waters on Hannity He bought a ticket to get into that conference, and they would not allow him in.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they would not allow him in. We need to find out. Wilbur, Connie sent me a copy of the lease for that center, and they were in direct violation. There were folks who bought tickets so that we could find out what the hell they were really preaching in there and talking about, and they denied press, so they denied Waters from Fox 4 Local. He's
and there
been
were
interviewed
some
by
Christians that had bought tickets,
Yeah.
and
But
they denied them.
They would not let them in. It was in direct violation of the lease for that building and for the center legally. So we have some recourse here. One would have to question, why the hell wouldn't you want the press in there? What are you telling people?
Well, Becky, listen to this logic. You know, in Mecca, they have the Kaaba, all right, where millions of Muslims go and they walk counterclockwise around it and all that. Non-believers are not permitted in Mecca at all. Now, I'm just a simple old boy from Austin. I was just in the music business, okay? But if I was trying to sell a religion and I had a place like that, I would throw open the gates and let everybody, you're thinking about being a Muslim? Come to Mecca. Come and look at what we do. Enjoy. Walk around the Kaaba with us. Instead of, no, if you're not a Muslim, you can't come here. That's the most silly public relations I've ever heard in my life.
Well, no, because they don't want
even Mormons let you come to the temple.
Yeah. They don't want you to know the truth, brother.
No. The group Garland and Houston Protest, they are looking into a lawsuit. And all of a sudden, all the videos is coming up, taken off YouTube and taken off Facebook.
No, that's no shock to me. I caught another jail sentence from them, and they've actually shut down my Reba True Stinger. For you folks out in Tennessee, you've got a government shield in the midst of your fire response team there. It goes by the name of Mike Teller. He is the culprit. He's the one out there preaching that Becky Williams is turning militia groups and 3%ers into law enforcement. First of all, why would I do that? What the hell would I turn them in for? But unfortunately, there's a lot of folks out there who don't know who I am, and they'll believe his bullshit. But he managed to get Reba True Stinger shot down for not being Reba but being Becky. So I'll be back.
Well, Mika sent me a deal about him, and I posted it, and 3 people unfriended him today over that post.
Good.
They didn't ask no questions or anything. They just contacted me and said they had unfriended him.
He's big trouble, and there's a lot of them out there. But at the end of the day, I appreciate all you folks filling in for me and getting the show out there and posting up information for me. And thank you again for doing that. We have to eliminate those trolls. I basically told them, I don't give a shit if he's government or if he's royalty. I'm not the woman you want to pick a battle with because obviously you picked your side. So you are my enemy. But we do need to do something. I'm real distraught. Connie, what news did you get as far as information on how many folks actually did finally show up to the Houston event? And do you know anything about the event that's coming up and the speakers for the event on the 24th with the Egyptian protesters? Did you get to do any homework on that?
No, I didn't. But I did find out there was less than 50 in Houston. That was, Mike, Richard Thompson that was put it all together.
Yeah.
You go to Garland in Houston, Islamic protest, go to their group, and it's all on there. And that's a shame. And now they're fixing to have the Islam's going to do a protest. That's the one I'd like to be at.
Which one?
Fixing to hold.
Oh, Egypt.
In Houston.
Yeah, the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, I was talking with one of my security team last night. He's a veteran. And, folks, you need to know this. These Egyptians that are protesting in Houston and then moving on to Washington, D.C. to also protest, there's probably some Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood soldiers in that protest. We heard from the news, of course, the bought-off media, that there was no threat to the Americans after the slaying of Charlie and his work associates in France. Just days before that, the news was we probably would be attacked. The chatter was across the globe. Terrorists were targeting America. Then all of a sudden we didn't have any, and then suddenly we had the news say their sleeper cells, ISIS sleeper cells are here. Well, hell, ISIS isn't the only one that is here. The Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, just to name a few.
Sharia law.
Yeah, it's here. Sharia law is being practiced. The training camps are real. I don't need a tinfoil hat for any of you listeners out there. Do your homework. Before you try to discredit people, go ahead.
We posted a post of where they're building that big center here in Garland, that they're going to have their own court, Sharia law court, inside this building.
Hey, Wilbur, how do you feel about that? Since the Muslim, the Quran teaches them they're above the law of anybody else's land. Wilbur, how do you feel about a Sharia court being established?
That is an oxymoron. They are trying to supplant the United States Constitution, the Texas Constitution, the laws that we have set in place on this continent, the laws that we have written, and they're coming in here and saying, well, we're going to ignore your laws and we're going to pass our own rulings. How can that have any legal weight? Any legal weight. You go in and some imam says, this is my judgment. Well, if I was a Muslim, see, they won't do this. This is what the Muslims won't do. This is where your moderate Muslims, well, I'm moderate, I don't believe in that, but you agree with what they do. You go in and, well, we're going to do this and this and this to you. If a Muslim stands there, well, screw you, I'm not going to do that. You don't have any legal authority. I'm going to go over here as justice of the peace. To heck with you. Well, Sharia law and the Prophet Muhammad and Allah. No, you don't have any hold in this country, you asshole. Nothing.
Yeah.
You are just one more raghead.
Exactly.
That's all you are. Oh, you
well,
me a raghead.
We've experienced it already, Wilbur. There was a Muslim diplomat on the East Coast, I believe it was in New York. His wife had a friggin' cell phone. He cut her head off. He did not get the death penalty, nor was he convicted in an American court of law. He was given diplomacy. He beheaded her on American soil for having a frickin' cell phone. That's just one incident. There was a Muslim in California, piece of shit, about 28 years old, on video, struck his girlfriend, an American woman, 187 times with such force that she was in a coma and hospitalized. He was one of Obama's little boys, and he did not even get a sentence. And in the video, he kept telling her, I'm going to kill you. He did not catch a sentence. He got community service, nothing more. He beat this woman, broke bones, put her in a coma, told her he was going to kill her, and he did not catch a sentence because the DOJ and Obama stepped in, so he did not. Listen, the caliphate is here. They're calling us Americans, patriots, terrorists. They're teaching our children in school. I interviewed 3 teenagers at the event on Spreaker this weekend, and they all told me the same thing. 2 of them were from the Garland School District. One was from Mesquite. They're being taught the pillars of Islam in school and how peaceful the religion is. There's no other God but Allah, yada, yada, yada. But they are not being taught any other religion in that class. So that is bullshit that all religions are being taught. They are teaching Sharia, Islamic life to our children to not only turn them away from you and God, but to steal their soul eternally.
Well, Becky, you know what's coming. Let me tell you what's coming. I grew up the first 10 years of my life in Shreveport, Louisiana, okay? And there was a bunch of old boys over there that whenever things got out of control, they came out, okay? I see the day, something like that, the girl getting hit all those times, I see the day when the men are going to show up in the guy's front yard and they're going to be saying, you need to come out right now or it's going to be bad on your family.
Yep.
And they're going to take him and they're going to put him in a tree and they're going to string him up and then they're going to burn a real nice cross right beside it to let them know that they were there, and everybody's going to call us a bunch of redneck animals. But when you the law out of control as much as it is now, that's why you get people like that. Now, when I grew up in Louisiana, it wasn't just the blacks that were targeted. A man who got drunk and beat his wife, they would tie him to a tree and take a wet belt and whip him. Any man, I don't care what color he was, he'd be green. So because when the law says, well, we're going to give this guy community service for almost beating his girlfriend to death, then the boys come out, then the atrocities happen. And that's really, and that's what I keep saying, it don't work that way in Texas. They, well, do you think this is right? You're just right. No, I'm not telling you it's right. Legally it's right, and I'm not telling you that. I'm just telling you that's the way people think. That's the way people think. You go into a mall and you shout, Allah Akbar, and you shoot a bunch of teenage girls going into a shoe shop in Texas, and I guarantee you will see a mosque on fire within 24 hours. I can guarantee you can write that in stone, give it to an old Jew, and let him come down out of the mountain because it's going to be written in stone. We're not going to put up with that.
The problem is every assault on our rights from, I didn't find it, actually, Gene, who's not on the call tonight, unfortunately, Gene Smith sent me 2 private bills in a private message on Facebook. And they are private bills that were passed specifically for Muslims. And one is a complete exemption for all Muslims from any taxation. The other is a private bill passed by our Congress, by the way, folks. You hear me? Not only drawn up by Carr and their lobbyists and their legal staff, but passed by our Congress. There is another one for purchase of property without any interest. That's right, folks, 0 interest. So while you are being raped by the mortgage companies, by the car finance companies, by the IRS, they are being given your businesses that rightfully own to American citizens, the grants and the money to prosper, and the 400, 500 million, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of very lush, nice properties for pennies on the friggin' dollar, while you are strapped with a mortgage for a $70,000 home that you spend over 30 years, $500,000 for. They're living like kings on your land. They have taken your property. They have taken your infrastructure. There's a mosque, almost a mosque on within 10-mile radius. In some cities, you'll have 2 and 3 mosques. They own every convenience store on each corner. They all have a gas pump attached to them. Now, this is where it's really going to piss you off. The highest taxes paid are on petrol. These bastards are tax exempt in their business and personal income, and they're reaping the benefits of taxing you. Under Sharia law, it specifically states they are to tax the infidel.
Right. I was wondering when you were going to get to that. That's straight out of the Quran. That's what, if you, under the original idea, if you wanted to live in a Muslim area but you're not a believer, that's cool. They're just going to tax your ass off. And that's what they've reversed us around and they've done to us.
Absolutely. So you're talking about the obvious things like beating somebody. People, they've taken your prosperity, your future, your children's future already. Go to the .gov site. Look at the statistics on small to medium businesses owned in this country. By whom? It is immigrants. And the largest part of those immigrants, the majority holder is Muslim. I went in to buy a property or to actually look at a house because I was looking to buy and move. Went into the neighborhood, saw the houses, thought they were nice. I went into the model home there, talked to the young lady in there that was selling the homes in that area. 60 houses, all but 4 bought up by the friends of the man that bought the first house in there that he brought from his church. I'm quoting what she said. Oddly enough, they all own a convenience store, she said. These people are being flown in here by the hundreds on thousands of airlines out of Europe and around the world daily, and it's been happening since 1973. When they give you a census on population and who's here, they're friggin' lying to you. My roommate flies only international, has been telling me for 3 years she was concerned because she was flying trips back with Muslims of 100 to 200 people with one English person or English speaker that could speak for the whole group on the damn plane. And when they get here, they don't go through security like you do. They go through their own special little line. They have a house. They have benefits, everything free, the money set up for them to open a business, and they have a car. A nice car, not a clunker. And that ticket costs thousands of dollars to put on the plane. Somebody's paying for it. Guess who? The money from the SBA and the other grants that are coming through to put these people in business, up to $5 million, no credit needed, no collateral. You as a white American, and I'm not going to make this a racial thing, I'm just telling you facts. As a white American, you're excluded from any special provision in order to open a business in this friggin' country. You are an American, and you are the wrong friggin' color. You will not get assistance to prosper. You are a slave. Your purpose is to struggle and try to take care of your family. And then when your credit goes to hell because you can't make your bills, because there aren't jobs out there, they don't want to hire Americans, they don't want to buy your businesses or your goods and services. I know this to be a fact. In merchant services, I go into a Muslim-owned business and they tell me I'm a kafir, or they tell me to get out, or they talk down to me and they tell me if I have a Muslim, send them back and they'll do business. But they're not going to put any money in my pocket. It's happening all across America. Now we're seeing it with the invasion through the Texas border. Pisses me off. I can walk into any fast food store. I can walk into any grocery store. I can walk into any movie theater right here in my own hometown. And those second jobs that Americans need have been taken up because now there is a language barrier. So all the Mexicans are getting hired, or South Americans, or Venezuelans, but it's damn sure not an English-speaking, upright, walking, white American. And again, I'm not trying to make it a racial thing. I have a biracial family. We're not divided by color like that. But at the end of the day, the government is pushing us into that zone. And it's not the black folks that are taking away from us, y'all. It is the foreigners.
But, you know, Becky,
what are you going to do?
Well, years ago, I saw a movie. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was Indian talking on there. And the Indian was talking to a white sheriff or whatever. And he said, the black white man. So the blacks and the white, we need to get an understanding in this country, okay? And I think a lot of the more educated blacks have this understanding. There's a white man and there's the black white man. These people like the Mexicans and the Muslims and all that, We're the enemy. We're the original settlers. I don't care what boat we came over on. We're all in the same boat now. You know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the blacks in this country have been so far removed from Africa, it doesn't even matter anymore. There's no pure blacks in this country at all. There's none. But these people that come in from the Middle East or from Mexico, they consider themselves to be pure. They consider themselves to be who they are, and they're steadily and insidiously creeping up. And like you said, they're taking over. They're taking over, and the original settlers here, which were us, you know, and the slaves and everything, we're being slowly pushed out, slowly moved back, because we're the real Americans. We're the real Americans, and that
we're men without a country. We're men without
right.
a fucking, pardon my language, a friggin' country. In my own damn country, I have no country. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying that's the damn truth. It's that I've noticed that, and I've heard a lot of good black voices. The Apostle Claver T. Malabadi.
Oh yeah.
John David Manning. Have you ever heard of John David Manning?
I love him.
Oh, God. Connie, have you ever heard of John David Manning? She must be gone. Anyway, I'm preaching to the choir here. If you've heard of him, you know about John David. I mean, I watch him, excuse the expression, religiously.
Yeah,
religiously.
I love him.
Yeah.
I love him.
People like him.
We've got a caller. Hey, Wilbur, we got a caller real quick. 937, you're on live. Who have I got?
Hello, Miss Becky. This is Terry.
Hey, Mr. Fletcher, how's my hero doing today?
I got a wee bit of a headache. I went to that link you sent me, and I was listening to, I don't know, January 1.
I'm sorry you have headache, brother. Have you been listening in?
I have for about the past 30 minutes. I was listening to an archive show before I realized it for an hour or so. But, yeah, I've been listening for at least 30 minutes.
Take your helmet off, Terry. Take your helmet off, damn it.
Yeah, that tin foil. You know, is that Wilbur?
Yes, it is.
Hey, buddy. You were talking about there's no pure blacks in America anymore, not any. Well, they're coming in by the plane loads from Somalia, Kenya, and other African countries. Yeah, Nigeria.
Yep.
So, as far as the American,
I was referring to the original Americans. I wasn't referring to people
American black.
Go ahead.
But when you were talking, you know, and Becky said, "I'm a man without, I'm without a country. I'm countryless in my own nation." And you know, and what happened, or what came up in my mind was the American native. Look at him. Look at
I'm a quarter American native. I know when they start pulling that shit on me. Look, I got blonde hair, blue eyes, dirty blonde hair, blue eyes, but my grandmother was full-blooded Native American. You know, when I hear these colored folk bitching about how they were enslaved and they want their 40 acres in them, you'll know you don't. You won't be mad because your mentality is such that you've been brainwashed all your life to think that you're less than a human being. And the reason you feel you're like that is the fault of the white man. Listen, get off your high horse. First of all, you've never experienced slavery. You've been entitled to every goddamn thing. You're entitled more than I've ever been. So shut up. Just shut the hell up. And if anybody has a right to be pissed off, my people have a right. They live in what they call a reservation, but it's actually a FEMA camp.
Yep.
That's the first FEMA camp. Go ahead.
I went on a tirade today. I got in a conversation or picked up on something. This black guy said, because I hate all white people with a passion. And there were some other prejudiced blacks on there, and then there was prejudiced whites. And then I said, you know what? You know, you keep your race card. You keep talking about slavery and what Whitey's done to you and how he's just keeping the black man down. I said, I want you to consider this. When the white man pulls everything, or when it just stops. I don't think the white man's got control much anymore, but when all your entitlement stops, hold dead, who are you going to call? Who supports you? without the white man, where would you be? You would crumble like a dust storm. You would fall like sand in the wind because there's nothing there for you. You can't even keep wood up. Look at Haiti. You can't even keep a fucking tree going to burn wood. And I went off. I said,
oh.
He said, we're going to war up on y'all. And I said, well, I don't know.
You already have.
I said, yeah. I said, I don't know any time the white man has united that he's ever lost a war unless it was by a superior white force. We're watching you, nigga.
Right.
And I just,
Gary,
I'm angry.
Becky, can I chime in for a second?
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I've got to tell y'all something. I was on Mikey B's show about 2 months ago. He sucked me into a deal on the radio one night, and he kind of shocked me. I knew I was being a little bit. He pitted me against a couple of Harvard professors. So there's a white girl and a black guy, okay?
Okay.
And they had penned a book where basically what they were saying is all civilizations stemmed from Africa. They taught the Egyptians to build. They taught them to write. You went across the Atlantic Ocean, and they had the Incas, Mayas, and he went on, and he had all these facts to back him up. And then Mikey brought me on, and I'm thinking, oh God, this guy's gonna eat me ass first, so my head dies last, you know. I said okay. I said, Doctor, I very much respect your theories. I'm really out of my element. I'm just a simple little boy from Boston, but I'd like to ask you a question. Now, you say that the tribes in Africa helped with the Egyptians' construction and all that. Oh, yeah, hubba, you know, okay, good. I just want to ask you a question. You can clear this up for me. I'll be happier. Okay, why don't I see any great pyramids in the Congo? and well, there's a long silence, and he said, and I was informed by the white lady that the Illuminati had cloaked it where we couldn't see them. So, oh, okay, now I know that now. Okay, now let's go to stage 2 here. You remember the book Roots? Oh, hell yeah, they remembered Roots. Oh, Roots was all stuck up their butt. I read that book. I was impressed. Remember when Alex Haley went back to Africa and he found that village where Kunta Kinte came from? Yeah, okay, that's good. And he met that guy who had a pole he stuck in the ground. He started reciting the family and the tribe history from time immemorial. Yeah, he's a great man. Okay, good. Why didn't he just open the book? Well, the Romans destroyed all the books. They burned all the libraries. They destroyed all the books, and that's why they had to come up with that theory. Oh, okay. Well, the guy never came back on Mikey's show, and I talked to him later in an email, and he said, what was your theory behind that? I said, no frontal lobe. What?
Yeah.
Frontal lobe. No frontal lobe. Caucasians, by their migrations to Europe, developed a frontal cortex, which developed symbolic language and the use of mortar, stuff like that. That's racist. That's why you think I didn't say it on your show, dumbass.
Yeah.
I think me and Becky were just talking. John David Manning, Terry, said the same thing you just said. Most affluent part of Maryland is a black area. If it wasn't for the white people holding it up, it would not be there. And I'll shut up at that point.
You're right. And the sad thing is, we've got a government that, and this pisses me off because they're hurting our black brothers and sisters, and this is how they're hurting my family, my black brothers and sisters, and all of America and the white people. Okay, they have caused such a racial division that we kill each other in the damn streets based on nothing more than a color, and it's sad. It is true. Listen, I'm not good with that. I really am not. I don't mind fighting somebody over an altercation that has principle, but I sure as hell have a problem with somebody coming at me sideways because of my color. Okay? I didn't do anything to you. What is your problem? Kind of thing, you know? I'm just not one of those that takes kindly to being mistreated for any reason. If I've got it coming, fair enough. If I don't, I don't. Part of why I ran the platform that I ran was to erase the minority button. They really have taken the black population as a whole, and they have oppress them, the government, not the white man, the friggin' government, okay? I didn't have anything to do with it. They tell our black kids, and they're not getting what is being said to them in this one statement. You don't have to score as high as a white kid or an Asian kid to get into college because you're black. What is that saying? Is it saying that they're less capable or less intelligent because of their skin color? Well, they're not getting it. Now, this is how they perceive it. That's right, you owe me, motherfucker. Pardon my language. You owe me, bitch. They're not getting that what the government is doing is using them as a shield, as a tool to feed the court system. You know, and now they're screaming we're being targeted by the popo. Well, look how you friggin' act, okay? You're ignorant. You get out on the street and you're ignorant. And you think everybody owes you something, you have a chip on your shoulder, and it's not because anybody owes you shit. It's because the government has brainwashed you, and they use you for many purposes. You're enslaved, brother. That's who you're enslaved to. You're enslaved to a corrupt government who uses you to fund municipalities and courts and the prison systems that are billion-dollar industries, and they want you on drugs, and they want you with your pants sagging, and they want you out there talking shit and disrespecting the public and getting killed by the police so that they can sway Americans who actually think that votes count to play the game, to engage in the theatrics of a falsehood that we have a choice in what is happening in this country politically, and we have none. Electoral colleges pick who's going to be the next president, but that's not even true. What we know for a fact is this: the next one's already been picked by a select and elite group of people, not only in our own country, but others from foreign nations have already decided who will run the great nation of America. That is a fact. Your vote doesn't count. It's all theater.
It's all theater.
That's the sad friggin' truth. So they've taken our black brothers and sisters who bitch about being enslaved and whitey this and whitey that, and the government has demonized us and given them entitlements through the years to make them feel like they deserve some kind of compensation for the injustice. Listen, the fact of the matter is this: before there was ever one black slave on this continent, the white slave was the bitch that did the labor. And before there was ever any injustice to a black man on this continent, the Indians were served up injustice, the American natives that were already here. And that's the fact of the matter, but because they dumb them down in school and they won't teach them any different, right? This is how it is.
Right.
Yeah, well, you know, they were given the keys a long time ago in this country, what's left of it. You know, everybody had the opportunity to learn. Like when we went to school, we were taught about the Constitution. We had civics. You know, I didn't graduate, but I've been around the world kind of, and I wish I had more of an education, but common sense can go a long way. You know, these people were given the keys a long time ago, and look where they're at.
Yeah.
Nowhere. So what does that tell you? It ain't going to happen. See, I'm angry right now.
Brother, you eliminate the minority button. You do that, you say, oh, hell no. It states right here in our state documents that all men are created equal. And even in God's eyes, we're all created equal, okay? So here's the deal. We're all going to be treated the same way. You eliminate the lobbyists, the NAACP, hang them pieces of shit like Al Sharpton in a friggin' tree and use them as a piñata, Jesse Jackson and the Black Panthers that are Muslim group. You know, you hang them in a tree in public, beat the corpse to death with a damn stick, again, you know what I mean? You eliminate that trash. and you let these children know it doesn't matter what color you are, you have every opportunity in life, but it's based now on your capability, your ability, and your actions, not on your color.
They are suppressed.
You eliminate the hatred, and you eventually will breed out the stupidity, because morals and principles will then be reestablished. Responsible human beings that are a productive member of society begin to flourish. They don't feel less than, they don't feel stupid, and they don't feel entitled. And then the white people that hate the blacks for all this shit, they have no reason to hate them any longer because they're not being preferenced. Now, if you hate them, you're just a hate monger, and we need to do something about you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you eliminate it, brother. That's exactly how you eliminate it.
Well, I noticed a big change, reflecting back a year or two ago. After the 2010 census, things began to escalate in this country. You know, Obama had been in, 2 years, a year and a half, or whatever, when the census came down. And that's when things began to escalate. And it's snowballing. They don't give a rat's ass what you think or I think or the American people collectively think. They don't care. Agenda 21 is rolling, and there's only one way to stop it. You know, I don't know how they can be like, you know, a brother of mine says, I told him, I said, it looks like John Boehner is going to be booted out. Well, I think the GOP is making a big mistake there. Okay. We don't talk much anymore because the last time I talked to him a few years ago, I said, you need to tell your buddy, he met McCain. I said, you need to tell your buddy McCain to go sit down and shut the hell up. He's making a fool out of himself, and he's hurting us. You know, didn't talk to him for a couple of years. But, you know, and he's a conservative. He's a Republican conservative. Well, I don't know what else to do. I guess I'll join the Tea Party. Blah, blah, blah. And after I told him about McCain being an idiot, he just quit having anything to do with me. But they don't care what we think anymore. They just don't care. We can petition. You know, I'm glad that turnout was good in Texas. But they don't care. They're not worried. They're not scared. They're who are them sons of bitches?
He will use hysteria to destroy. Well, they're destroying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Becky, you were talking about Native Americans. Are you there?
Becky?
Becky.
Okay, Becky.
It's the Wilbur and Terry show.
She's in a barrel.
She's in a barrel.
How can you lose
Becky? Becky's okay. We take over your show.
Becky, how did you get kicked off your own show?
She got kicked off her own show.
I heard her trying to speak.
I did too.
But can y'all hear me speaking?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
She must have clicked me in. This is Yoga Bear. She must have clicked me in, and she must have shut off herself.
She shut herself off. She kicked herself out of her own show.
Okay, Yogi Bear, you handle it. You're it.
Woo. Terry, what do you got to say? I'm kind of at a loss here. I clicked on FaceTime by accident and got disconnected and came right back in. I think when she clicked me back in, she clicked herself out.
I bet she did. I bet she's panicking right now.
Hey, Becky, we got you back, man. Come on, we got you back. We're good. We're good. Power to the people. We got you back. We got you back. No, I was going to tell her, she's talking about being a Native American. My kids are descendants of Quanah Parker, and so I got a lot of input on that. But I heard somebody tell me one time, an old Indian said, you know, when the Indians ran this country, we had the men fished and hunted all day and made love all night. We had no taxes, free health care, and the women did all the work. Only the white man could think he could improve a system like that. I think Becky has excused herself.
Well,
Terry, are you still there?
Why don't I jump off and send her a message and ask her what happened?
All right. Okay.
And I'll be back as soon as I get in touch with her.
Okay. I guess I'll still be on, right?
What?
Okay,
What?
I just messaged Becky, and she said she's still there. She's talking, but no one can hear her.
Oh.
Yeah, she says she's here, but no one can hear her.
Oh boy. Well, Becky, if you can hear me, we're here.
Yeah, but I don't know where.
You need to look for it.
They posted you all.
She just told me
Nope.
to tell y'all to carry on.
Okay. Well, we'll just carry on.
And yeah, she wants me to three-way her in. Hold on one moment.
You're supposed to do the whole money.
Well, we were talking about the Muslim influence in Texas.
Nope.
And the main thing is the fact that the Texans, Americans, just simply do not stand up and say no. It's simple as that. We don't stand up. We don't say anything. We don't do anything. Nobody takes it that serious.
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me now?
Yes. Welcome back, Becky.
I don't know why the hell I've got my phone off mute. You keep FaceTiming me and it bumped me off. And when I came back on, I came on right before the regular airtime ended, and I pulled myself back up on the board, but it's showing that I'm unmuted, but it wouldn't let me speak. So I had Natalie, God bless you, Nat, who was listening, call me and three-way me back into the show. Thanks for segging for me, though. I appreciate it.
Well, I think that might have been the best part of the show because we were all kind of like quacking, you know.
See, you do need me.
Yes, I didn't realize that. I knew you were important and everything, but I didn't realize what a pivotal point you truly were.
Oh wow!
I was about to start telling British jokes. I didn't know what to do.
Natalie would have had to chime in on that one. She's from Britain. Say hi, Natalie.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just like we've had a tragedy on my block. 3 men have lost wives on my block in the last 6 months. You know, I live in an area.
I'm not moving to your neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh, well, and it reminded me of a joke I heard years ago about 2 Englishmen meet each other on the street after 10 years, and one says, "Heard you buried your wife," and the other one says, "Had to." Did you know?
Did you know?
I noticed the lady did not have a text back.
Listen, I'm going to give you some information, and the listeners out there. Fletcher, please finish listening to the show, brother. I can't bring anybody back in. We have passed our normal airtime. We're in overage right now. So anybody trying to call in, you're not going to get through. I do apologize. We had a ton of callers tonight. Nobody with their hands up. They just wanted to listen, other than the ones that I brought in. But I'll give you some interesting information, Wilbur, that our listeners may not be privy to, and they need to be. You know, everything happened in France last week was obviously Islam, terrorist pigs, maggots, cockroaches, whatever you want to call them. I could call them something worse than that, but I won't. Then they had the leaders, the world leaders came together and showed solidarity in protesting against terrorism and what happened to Charlie and his associates there in France. But what some folks may not know, that our own media, God, I hate the media, did not tell us. We had to get this out of European media, and it has been confirmed. The High Commissioner, police officer there, found a backpack in the getaway car of these terrorists. And in the backpack was a cell phone and some documents, and there was some encryption. And, there was at one point 88,000 agents from different alphabet agencies around the globe, from what is it, M5 or MS5? What is that in England? What is y'all's high security there? Is that M5?
I don't know.
Anyway, so they have all these agencies looking for these terrorists, and they're still on the run. They find the backpack in the getaway car. They find the cell phone. Interesting enough, there was encryption in the phone, but the phone number, one of the numbers, led back to none other than General Petraeus.
Oh, my goodness.
So, this commissioner goes to the court, the high court, which would be the equivalent of our Supreme Court here, in France, and he issues a warrant based on information that they received from encrypted messages from that cell phone number and from documents in this backpack. For Obama himself, he asked for a warrant, and for other high-ranking officials not yet named, is how the article read, American officials. So we were all asking the question, why the hell did they send Eric Holder to France? How come Obama or Kerry or Biden didn't show up in France to lock arms with other great leaders? And then there was this excuse about security. Bullshit. Security, my ass, there wasn't time to get security in order for Obama to go over there. Bullshit. So they send Holder, but Holder's really not. He's going to take care of two things while he's there. He's going to do a news show, like a CNN or some crap would be the equivalent to over there, right? And then he hauls ass when they do this march in the streets. He's not there to represent America. We have no one there representing America. Well, now we know why. We know why, don't we? So think about this. He is head of law enforcement and the Department of Justice, right?
Right.
It gets better. This high commissioner, 3 hours after he appealed to the court for the warrant, was found dead in his office with a gunshot wound to the head, and very quickly it was ruled a suicide. Eric Holder hauls ass leaves France. I'm not saying he pulled the trigger. I'm saying they knew the warrants had been asked for, and that's why Holder was there. They knew what was going to be found, and that's why they sent
Becky,
Holder.
let me jump in for a sec.
Yeah.
Let me just jump in for a sec. Just to remind everybody about tomorrow night's show, it's going to be pretty much on the same, pretty much talking about the same thing, covering all the same stuff. And we're going to be bringing on, who we're bringing on and everything. I don't know if he actually covered any of that. So, because I've actually been out with my son.
Cover it real quick, bro, because I haven't told them yet.
Okay, yeah, no, tomorrow night. Actually, anybody that had a chance Saturday night to hear the show, we had a fabulous show. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat there. The gentleman that we're going to be bringing on is the same guy that we had on Saturday night, Andrew Clark. And you talk about a very, very knowledgeable young man that is just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to Islam, when it comes to, just so many different aspects. He kind of reminds me of Shai Townsend to an extent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're going to have a really, really good show, and there's going to be nothing but a wealth of knowledge and everything. So I highly recommend everybody to come back tomorrow night. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be here tonight.
Friends.
Yeah, invite your friends, share all the information with everybody possible. But like I said, I apologize that I wasn't able to make it tonight, because I just had too many things going on. But we do have a good show set up for tomorrow. You do have some callers that are on hold. I don't know if you had a chance to get to them, 731 area code and a few others, but you might want to get to them. But I actually have to go pick up my stepson from school now, so But I just wanted to stop in and seeing that everybody was still here and bring up the show for tomorrow night.
All right, brother,
So,
I appreciate it.
right.
God bless you, and
All right.
be careful, and I'll talk to you later. We've
All
had a
righty.
pretty good show tonight. I'm gonna do my last few minutes that I can do on it. I've got 15 minutes left on overage, and then I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off for the evening. We've been straight through some other activities tonight. So God bless you, bub.
Well, I'll download it and listen to it tomorrow. But good night, everybody. Sorry I wasn't here, but Becky does a good job of holding her own. So good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night, brother.
You ought
Be
to
careful.
see what happens when Becky drops off.
Yeah, that was pretty scary, wasn't it?
Oh, Becky, it was very interesting. I went from being articulate and off and everything. The only thing I could think when you dropped off was,
Hey, Bill, are you on yet? Brother. Yeah. Are you there, buddy? He's showing he's on, but he told me he was going to be busy. He'd let me know when he wasn't. But I guess he's left me too.
Becky, be sure you bump me about that show tomorrow and remind me, so I will listen in on that for sure.
Absolutely. You know I will. Let's see who at 813 area code. Who's calling? 813. Can you hear me?
Becky, you know who this is.
I knew it was you. Hey, brother.
I'm sitting here master streaming you over the Bank versus You channel.
I wanted to ask you, do we have a good audience tonight on you?
We do. We have a few folks here, and we have others listening on the call bridge. So yeah, and
you brought Jean in. She can't call in on my show. Can you throw?
Well, Jean and I are in touch on the other screen here of she's on screen 16, and we were communicating when you dropped off, and then Connie and I are also intermittently communicating. So everybody's has 4 or 5 backup ways to make sure this thing's going right.
All right, brother. I'm going to ask Wilbur and the other Texans that are on tonight, Gene and Connie and anybody else that I missed that are in Texas. We really seriously need to do a show geared specifically toward Texas and Texas freedom. I'm going to ask you folks to all get together. If you're not friended, I need you guys to friend up. We need to do a show specifically. I love everybody in this country.
I'm starting to hear discrimination here.
No.
I'm in Florida. I'm kidding you, honey.
I know.
Go ahead. I had to punch in a little fun. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have a serious situation right here in Texas. We have got terrorists walking around free, taking our money, taxing the shit out of us, taking our businesses, and being treated like friggin' royalty in this country. And they're here to do nothing more than to cause death, destruction, and take away everything from everybody. And we have seriously got to do something ASAP. I believe it's a very broad statement that they're making and a very bold statement, and the government is allowing them to do this. And in my opinion, it's with permission, if you will, from our very own Texas government and law enforcement to allow these people to walk the streets of Texas and to protest and to build mosques and to preach hatred and try to implement Sharia law and do the things that they're doing and being given the businesses and the freedoms that we are not afforded. And I'm just not good with that. I'm really not good with it. We're seeing this now. I mean, I'm not paying attention to every state because they're not bringing it to my attention. Certainly to all the listeners out there, if this is going on in your state as well, I'd like to hear about it. The fact of the matter is, this is with too much frequency, and the fact that they prayed, they held Islamic prayer on the steps of my Capitol last week before the rally. Okay, just days before the rally, these cockroach pieces of shit devil minions prayer on my state capitol steps. And now they held a convention with the intention to raise money with the speakers that are terrorists, and it was promoted by an organization that has ties to terrorists around the world. I'm not good with that. How is it I'm a terrorist because I tell the truth? These bastards are terrorists by trade, and I'm the target. But I'm not only the target by my government, I've been painted the target by these demonic individuals. I'm not good with that. So I'm gonna ask anybody out there who's having this going on in your state, contact me. Let me know. We'll do a show about it. But right now, I'm very concerned about how we can get out from under the death grip that we are under in the state of Texas. And anything that I can do to help motivate or move forward with fast motion to get this thing put together and get people drawn together and united that are working in separate groups to get this done. We need to form a coalition. We need to do it ASAP. And I will be your vocal venue without a doubt. All you got to do is tell me the day and the time. We'll get together, and it'll be specifically for the state of Texas. I'll do a show for us. Wilbur, what do you think about that?
I think that we should get together, friend each other. Everybody in unity, there's strength, and that's really what it comes down to. What happened in Houston yesterday with just a little bit of turnout was an abomination. We need to get more people out there. I did a deal today on Facebook. I was in a discussion where a lady said, well, look, only a small percentage of Americans have a problem with Muslims. It's all you 1% out there and all that. And that's not the truth. They don't know. They don't know. And we let them know that there is a problem, and there are a lot of us that are aware of the problem, and we all get unified, start speaking with the same voice. I think that'll go a long way.
I agree, sir. And if you'll help me put that together, I'm reaching out to you tonight publicly, and I'm going to ask you to help me get that put together. And okay,
let me know what you need me to do. My email and my text and everything. Let me know what you need to do, and I will do it. And Becky, I'm going to send you a video on your text.
Okay.
It's a very moving video, and I won't say anything about it on the air. It really, when I watch it, it really shakes me up. It really does. But I think you'll appreciate it, and you'll want to pass it around.
Absolutely, sir. I'll be happy to. Now, Jim, I'm going to ask you, are you going to have a round table after this show is finished?
Actually, not tonight, my friend. You guys kept me up till 1 a.m. in the morning, and I was back in the office at 6. I love you to death, but we have to figure out a way to get me in bed by at least 10 p.m. so I can hit the deck here at 5 a.m. But then again, if we plan something like that, then I will plan accordingly. And it sounds like you're going to do another episode tomorrow evening, correct?
We are. We have a gentleman. I interviewed quite a few people when we were at the rally the other day. I mean, I was hell-bent and nonstop from the time my feet got out of the car until I got back in it.
I know, you scared the shit out of us.
I'm sorry, brother. I walked 100 miles and talked to hundreds of people, and I interviewed many, and at the end of the day, I came across an individual, and I told them all we were going to have a show at 9 o'clock after the rally, and I wanted to make sure that we had callers for that show to voice their opinions, their experience at the rally, and share their knowledge with our listeners, and inspire others to react with action rather than complacency for the Sunday event. And obviously, we didn't reach enough people, or we just have a bunch of stupid, lazy people. I mean, I don't know what
I know, and for the effort and for the cause, it's just amazing. Well, why don't we do this? When I promote your blog talk, why don't we promote the fact that there'll be a round table after the show, and do that for sure tomorrow night, and I'll get all rested up, which I'm about to go do, and we can go till 1 or 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. As long as I know it's coming, and I can prep the next day for that, then we've done that, and I think it is very good to extend these things. And it sounds like, with all due respect, of tonight's show, that tomorrow night's show will give us an opportunity to not only get the word out, but we'll have some even further stimulating conversation on your show that we can bring over to the round table here. And with that, Becky, we love you to death. We really do. And we're all putting in 23 and a half hours a day here. Nobody's asking for a dime. I love you. You love me. And my listeners are here. They know I'm tired, and they're all saying, go get a good night's rest. And I was even teasing Gene and Connie. I said, yeah, I'll get a good night's sleep, but watch out tomorrow. Oh, bad. Once I get a good night's sleep, I love you too, Beck. We love you to death, and I'll go to mute, and I'll air until you go off air, and I've also archived this. And you call me tomorrow, or let's coordinate something, and we'll definitely have a round table after your show tomorrow evening, my friend. Good. God bless you.
All right. God bless you too, brother. Thank you so much for all you do. Well, Wilbur, I'm going to cut this show off. We've got about 5 minutes left of air time. I'm going to let folks go. Natalie, who's got me on a three-way into this, she, bless her, she needs to get in bed. I know she does. She's got to go to work in the morning, and I don't want to keep her up past her bedtime. Nat, thanks for doing that. I love you with all my heart. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Wilbur, Natalie is one of our legal immigrants that actually came in and paid the price to be here and then try to enjoy the prosperity of a new life in America with her children. And she's pretty pissed off about the illegal immigration and the invasion as well. She wants her money back.
Well, Becky, I'm gonna let it go, and I'm gonna send you that video, and I'm gonna charge up my phone, and I will see you tomorrow night.
All right, brother. If you have any more questions, I'm open to you until bedtime. I'm probably gonna be out for a couple hours. I have to get some study in for tomorrow's preparation. I appreciate you being on tonight and help me host this show. You're a plethora of information. And you stimulate my brain. I call that nipple stimuli, my brother.
All right. Thank you very much, and God bless. I'll see you tomorrow night, and you'll be seeing the video
All right.
pretty quick.
God bless you. All right. This has been Becky Williams with Rage Against the Regime. I want to thank all my listeners for listening in. I want to thank the callers. The ones that I did not get to tonight, I do apologize. I'll get to you tomorrow night. Be sure and let your friends know we're going to be back on air tomorrow night at 6:30. We have a guest that I interviewed while we were at the protest who called in on Saturday night, and he is somebody that you definitely don't want to miss. He's going to impart some information that will definitely be vital to the listeners. So with that, I'm going to leave you. Good night, and thanks again for listening to Rage Against the Regime. Make sure you share with your friends, and I'll see you at 6:30 tomorrow evening.
The ones who lost the ones they love, we pray for you each day. Our nation's heart goes out to you to help you find your way. A brave new song of freedom can be heard across this land. The walls may fall.